Understand.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I'll keep the list of participants open in case Rox sends someone else. But for now, let's start the recording so that later on it can be shared with young professionals who are interested in empowering their careers through education. My name is Zoya Zaitseva. I'm head of global partnerships and charity at QS. And QS is the company behind the rankings, the scholarships, different web development for the universities, and many other things. So there are more than 500 people spread all over the world. And oh, I can see Rox has joined us. Yay! Right. So in order to avoid this how shall I put it? In order to avoid potential technical risks, I was advised to switch from the PowerPoint presentation to just running through the recent report we had on graded employability, and then to leave more time for questions and answers. And we have Luke joining us. Hello, Luke. Welcome on board to our very small but hopefully powerful community. Right. So just to give you an idea what we're going to be talking about, and I know unfortunately due to this technical challenges we're starting 15 minutes later, I'll very quickly take you through the QS Employer Insight Reports that was published earlier this week, so it's as fresh as it gets. Then we very briefly will talk about Graded Employability University rankings. It's probably not that relevant to everybody, but it will be relevant to those who are maybe still considering doing master's or PhD degrees going forward. And then we'll leave time for questions and answers, because I think that will be the most efficient way to answer all the questions, because all people are coming from different walks of life. You might have your particular questions, and I think it will be just fair this way. If you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask the questions as we go. I think it will be okay. I hope nobody minds if there will be some interruptions, right? And I think the first thing I'll do, I'll share my screen. Actually, no, I'll share the everything that I see so that we can also switch to the some of the online sections later on. I hope you can see my screen. So the report that I've mentioned, the Employee Insights report, was published on Monday this week. And it what employers around the world think about young professionals joining their ranks. And as a company, QS is in touch with thousands and thousands of employees around the world, mainly for the sole purpose of collecting their opinions on universities which meet their expectations, their requirements in terms of graduate recruitment. Also, what probably was mentioning, employer reputation, so the recognition of the university by employers, is one of the key elements of all the QS rankings. So we rely quite heavily on opinions of employees, as we believe they are one of the key stakeholders of all the education and career program processes. So in terms of recruiters, you can see that the priorities can be very, very different. And what I am personally quite pleased to see is that an indicator called best grades, which used to be very popular as recent as like 7 years ago, is now, you can see, almost like second from the bottom. The first and the most popular criteria for the employers while recruiting a new person is his or her professional experience. So this is, as you can see, is totally in line with what Rox and her team are trying to achieve, that experience, working experience, is a part of educational process. And we at QS strongly believe in this, because your education is worth nothing if you can't apply it, right? And also from not just from the practical point of view, but also from the emotional point of view, if you didn't have a chance to try your future profession, to try and apply what you've been taught during your internships, short-term projects, or apprenticeship, you wouldn't know whether you like this role or not, whether this is the career you want to dedicate your life to, or whether it's your parents' dream. Um, I hope that we will have people from quite a few different regions joining today. And I myself am coming from Russia. So I'm also sort of what you call in today's term a qualified immigrant who came to the UK 15 years ago and has built a career and a family here. So quite often, young people decide to go into the university course, not because they genuinely believe that this is their passion and this is going to be their job for life, but because of their parents and family pressure. So that's why I think if it's possible for schools to collaborate with universities and employers and give young people as early as, I don't know, at the age of maybe 13 and 14, to try different activities, to try different jobs, it will decrease the number of disappointed and dissatisfied young professionals quite tremendously. Unfortunately, we don't have this in many countries around the world. We don't really have much of it in the UK. So let's focus on those who have already entered the university, and let's see how they can shape up their profile, shape up their portfolio in such a way that will appeal to the employers of either their dreams, if you are confident enough that that's your dream job, or whether to any employer that you might want to approach for future work. Now, what's also is worth mentioning is when we talk to the employers and to the universities, and we're trying to figure out, what's the overlap, what's the common language between those two very powerful groups who have impact on thousands and millions probably lives around the world. Everybody is talking about career outcomes. So we're not talking about, touchy-feely stuff like, am I happy? It is important, but it's not the top indicator. We're talking about employability rate, so the proportion of graduates finding jobs usually it's about within 3 months after graduation. And then if we're talking about employment, what's the average the timeline, how soon students can find employment after graduating. Obviously, students or graduates of a strong university, and that's also quite important to remember, sometimes you can get a fantastic job grading from a particular course from not the strongest university overall, but who will be the strongest university in this particular subject area. That's why, again, looking back, when you're choosing an institution, it is quite important to look at this university's strength, not just overall, but in your particular field. And then, yes, student satisfaction score or satisfaction rate. This is when universities survey the students and ask how happy they are with their study outcomes, how happy they are with their their readiness for the job market. Now, one of the next elements, and very important, when we were talking to the employers and asking them to identify the most important elements that help prepare students for recruitment process, and that's, okay, let me rephrase. These are the activities that employers believe universities should be engaged with while teaching the students. So you can see that, yes, CV and personal statements are the most important one, obviously, because you will be working with them, you will be using your CVs to apply for different roles. What's important here is that you not only have to be trained or educated how to prepare your CV or personal statement, but you also need to be trained how to adjust your CV based on a company you're approaching, based on the position you're applying to. And most of us today know a magic word, keywords, right? We know how to use them when you optimize, for example, your article or you're working on the website. The same rules apply to your CV. In many companies, not just in the UK, but around the world, HR teams are now using artificial intelligence to help them search through the database of candidates who have applied for this or that role. And this artificial intelligence, those algorithms, they do the preliminary work. They pick up the CVs that have the highest number of keywords matching the keywords for this role. And you might be as brilliant as you could be. You might have fantastic language capabilities and great extracurricular activities. But if your formal CV doesn't have a number of keywords required for this or that role, you might not simply pass the first barrier. So that's why it's quite important to know how you tweak, how you adapt your resume, your CV to any particular role that you're applying for. Well, mock interviews and other elements here are pretty obvious. One thing I'd probably like to highlight, and that's something that came out of my experience working with the business schools, is that mock interviews with employers are definitely important. Not everybody has access to employers, though, or resources to have, you know, mock interviews with real HRs. Don't be shy. Get in touch with your alumni, your fellows from the same university who have graduated 3 or more years ago, and ask for 1 hour of his or her time, explain the situation and say, listen, I just need your feedback on how I might probably do at a mock interview, or not mock, at a real interview. And then you have a mock interview with this person where he or she acts as an employer. And then you together discuss, like you spend half an hour probably in this role play going for the interview, and then the next half an hour going for this and discussing how you could do better or what the employer will be expecting from you. Obviously, these are not HR professionals, but those are people who have already been through the process and who might give you a very valuable insights into your future profession, into your future interviews, and it will be generally very helpful. Now, one thing I'd like to ask you guys, and maybe a little bit later, if you could just let me know which universities you're coming from and whether your institutions had a career center that would undertake, if, well, ideally all, but I'll be happy with just like at least 2 or 3 out of those. So whether you had your CV writing trainings, whether you had interview trainings and other activities. Now I'm trying to stay cautious of time so that we also have enough time for questions and answers. So this is a rather important element I wanted to share with you. So when we ask employers which skills are important for you when hiring a new candidate, 5, well, less so for 5, but 10 years ago, for example, things like data skills, problem solving, so like hardcore skills were coming on top. Now, by default, it is expected of you, but you can see that such skills as communication, teamwork, flexibility, interpersonal abilities, and probably I think interpersonal abilities sit somewhere between communication and teamwork, are becoming more and more important. So it's emotional intellect and it's your everything about soft skills. What it means to you, for you, is that when you're working on your CV, you have to also bear in mind that it's not just the hardcore tech or keywords that are important for this role, but you also have to show your personality. I will share the link to this report with all of you, so you'll be able to download and read it when you have time. But these are the key words that I would strongly advise reviewing, trying to reflect on yourself and see what you can, not just what you feel is that you have, but also what other people think, and then can say, oh yes, Joe really has a fantastic interpersonal skills, or she's got amazing creativity, which helped us resolve XYZ issues, okay? Now, when we look at the satisfaction scores, so it's a very interesting exercise called when you do gap analysis. So you ask employers what are their expectations in terms of importance of the skills, and then we ask them about how satisfied you are with those skills that you've identified as important when we look at the graduate employees, young employees that you've hired. And you can see that teamwork and technical skills come highest. However, when it comes down to communication, we remember, yes, it was coming up really high at the previous chart. Unfortunately, it's not within top 3 and not even within top 5 satisfaction elements. So your task is to make sure that the key skills which are important for this future employer of yours are reflected reasonably on your resume and CV and are highlighted during your interview, all right? So, well, I don't want to go through all, as I said, you will have access to this material and review. So these are the some comparative analysis of employers or recruiters' responses from different regions. So we have US in yellow, UK in blue, and China in red. And these are the recruiters' priorities. You can see that professional experience is by far the most important priority for employers from all 3 countries. However, it is the UK that puts the most weight on professional experience. So work experience, real life experience is truly crucial. And then when we move further to the right, target disciplines, so your educational background, whether it coincides, whether it matches the job you're applying for, is also important. Now, I personally would say that, yes, it is 51% here, but take it with a pinch of salt, because depending on the sector we're talking about, it will vary quite drastically. Say, for example, if we're talking about tech companies such as Google or Facebook, or even Coursera, most of you would probably know that they have already announced officially they're not looking at your educational background. They don't really care whether you have a degree or not, but they do care about your experience, about your real skills, and about your real achievements. Whilst in other sectors, such as, say, healthcare and legal industry, and finance can also be quite tricky. They are actually indeed looking at your degree. So that's why it's so important that you try as many options as possible early on during your first or second year at the university, so that when you choose your job going forward, you're 100% sure that that's the job which you want to dedicate your life to. Because also it's easy to switch from one course to another, from one degree to another, early on your educational years. I think we'll probably leave it on this survey on this one. Yeah, so this is again the same questions we're reviewing, what's important, what universities should help students with, but answers also spread over country. So you can see China, for example, strongly believes that universities should take care of students' CVs and personal statements. 74%, that's probably one of the highest answers that we've had in this issue, in this edition. Now, this is an interesting matrix. Most important skills and least satisfied. So this shows you the gaps, right? So remember, we were talking about how important communication is, and employers put it on top of their charts everywhere around the world. However, you can see that for many of them, it's not the one where they are really satisfied with. So communication is something you guys have definitely to work on. Well, graduate business school, I think this is probably not so relevant. What's interesting here are business masters. So if any of you have studied masters in management or masters in finance, you have better chances to find a formal job moving forward, or at least it's an easier process. Right, now let's stop over here and let's switch to the rankings, if I may. So as I've mentioned at the introductory beginning, Top Universities is the platform that QS has been running, and it's a pretty solid one. We had over 60 million in traffic last year. That's pretty good, believe me. And we, among many things, we also have the rankings that we publish. And one of them is Graded Employability Ranking. So it's literally a ranking of institutions, of universities with the best career outcomes. And if we look at the UK universities, these are the ones that will give you the best career boost, the best career outcomes based on number of Fortune 500 people who have graduated from those universities, based on number of employers who come and are present on campus of those universities, and also based on the R&D activities. Now, if you want to go a bit deeper into different indicators, I would strongly advise to review the indicators first, so graded employment rate, partnerships with employers, etc., etc. But also you can go to our website called iuqs.com and see how each of the indicators is explained here, so that, you know, for example, partnerships with employers reflect how active and how engaged any university is with the employer's partners. And you can sort this ranking of universities by partnership with employers, and I'll tell you that even though University of Surrey is not the most highly ranked UK university when it comes down to general graduate employability ranking, however, they are the institution with the best record for partnerships with employers. And the same here. Say, for example, employer reputation means the sheer volume of employer experts who named this particular university, in our case, University of Cambridge and University of Oxford, as the best institutions to recruit from. Okay, now I should probably stop here because we only have 20 minutes left, and switch to questions and answers if you have any. I can see that, oh, well, it's still a very small group of enthusiasts, but if you want to unmute yourself and share the questions, just shoot. Or you can type them in the chat if you feel more comfortable doing that in the chat, or I don't know, don't have a mic or headphones. Rox, you were collecting questions from young professionals prior to the session. Could you maybe share them with us here?
Sorry, yes, I should have thought about that. So the top question is from international students. Work experience. I mean, what is it? I mean, or why is it even important to have it? Isn't it just a job? Isn't it just a paid job? Or how is it different from just being a paid job?
Okay. Well, I think the whole report I was showing was answering this particular question, that your experience during your study years is crucial to your success with a future career. And I don't want to repeat myself because, you know, for me, it's obvious. And I think for pretty much any young person out there, it's also quite obvious that, you know, if you're studying something and if you haven't tried it in real life experience, you will definitely struggle to find a good job straight out of the university. So the more options you explore, the better for you. And also, we've just seen the employer responses that your experience and your real gained skills are crucial. Now, one thing I'd like to mention, which I think is fantastic from the British government support, is this well, I don't know, a project or initiative that they've started, which is called Kickstart. So Kickstart campaign has been organized by the British government to support young professionals who are leaving the universities and are struggling to find a job, and also to support smaller businesses and entrepreneurs who might not have money to pay salary to those young professionals. So if you are with Universal Credit, you can go to the, actually there's probably another page I should have shared, but I can share it now in the chat for all of us. So on gov.uk, or just Google Kickstart Scheme. And from this page, you will be able to find whether you qualify or not, what are the requirements. So overall, okay, I've added it to the chat, so please go and check. It's a scheme that pays to the employers in order for them to hire young professionals from 16 to 24 years old for up to 6 months jobs. And this is, I think, a fantastic opportunity to try different activities, to make some money, which is always important, but also to try and find something that is truly yours, because there is nothing worse in your life than, you know, getting a degree, working in a company following your degree, and then discovering when you turn 35 that in fact, instead of being an accountant, you've always dreamt of being a chef. And it's only at, you know, during the midlife crisis when you give yourself a liberty, give yourself a chance to actually do something that you feel passionate about, rather than just continue doing some boring work in the office. Nothing against boring work in the offices, it can also be exciting, but I'm just saying about trying to find your true passion and taking the risk to pursue it.
I've got another question, if that's okay to answer it.
Well, everybody else is
have they got any
quiet, so I guess it is.
Okay, so I know that definitely in our little group here, there's a couple people who very passionate about work experience, but whether it's COVID-19 or lots of other reasons, are just really struggling at the moment. And it's you've mentioned the Kickstarter scheme, so I don't know if anybody had known about the Kickstarter scheme, but okay, we had a 2008 crash, which is kind of the same thing. But what would you say to students who have heard you today and say, okay, I get it, work experience is important, how do I get it now? Any
you have to be very proactive. Obviously, you know, sitting on your bum flat doesn't help, and nobody is going to come to you and bring it to you. So first of all, talk to your universities, because well, maybe I'm an optimist, but in my experience, most of the universities have contacts with their employers. Quite often, these are contacts with their own alumni. And if you chase your career office persistently enough, they will either offer you some of the projects to choose from, or, and this is something that should be initiated by you guys, is you can do your own research. Go on LinkedIn, run a search on based on the keywords that are relevant to you, whether it will be your job or whether it's a sector that you want to, you know, explore and you haven't tried it yet. Try to find alums of your university who work in this particular sector or who work in this particular company, and engage with them and be honest. Say, I'm studying at XYZ program, I would love to gain some experience, and I would say up until you've gained some experience, you don't really have huge negotiation power, so you might have to agree to some unpaid projects. Just make sure you don't agree to like 1 year of unpaid work. This doesn't make sense. But I would say allow yourself 1 to maybe 3 months free project, so like apprenticeship, where you're not being paid, but you are learning from working on the tasks that are given to you, and you are gaining an experience that later on you will be able to add to your CV. Now, also, actually, one important thing to mention before you do that, before you approach your fellow alumni or someone else, make sure that your LinkedIn profile is up to scratch. This is very important because if you don't have anything decent in your profile, nobody will actually take you seriously. And that's something very important to bear in mind because LinkedIn is becoming more and more powerful these days. Now, there are also things like, I'm just looking for my LinkedIn inbox. Yes. So one of the things that works really well is if you know the sector you want to explore, it's relatively easy to identify, say, top 20, top 50 companies that you'd be interested in. So go to their career section, and even if there is nothing there, don't be shy. Send your CV with a powerful email to the HR saying, hey, I'm such and such, I'm passionate about whatever it is you guys doing, and I'd love to see if you might have any apprenticeships or any projects I can contribute to that can help me explore your activities. Like one of the examples I'll share with you now also is a company called Relay2. It's a company that has been set up by Stanford alumnus, and it helps convert all these, rather heavy and ugly PDFs into web pages. And it's a good friend of mine who runs it, and we were just recently discussing with him the possibility of promoting his jobs among the QS World Merit community. And QS World Merit is a charity that I coordinate within my role, which brings together people around the world who care about sustainable development goals and who would love to not just, support them by clicking on something, but also who are proactive and deliver different activities, different projects that impact their local and international communities. So, and my role here is to bring them those experiences. And this link I've just shared with you is one of the examples of open jobs that are out there. It's a mix of top and entry levels, and you can always apply for the ones which are relevant to your skills or background. And also, as I said, don't be shy and email direct emails to HRs. I don't know, Rox, does it cover your question?
That's fantastic. I wonder, are there any opportunities that QS World Merit has that you might want to tell the students about or might have in the future? Or I don't know if you guys do scholarship. I don't know. You tell us about.
Thanks for the hint. Yeah, I don't know whether it's relevant to this audience because my understanding was that those are young professionals who are already through the universities. But indeed, QS World Merit offers scholarships, and that's something. So maybe just a little bit, let's rewind, a bit of a background. So World Merit is a charity that has been running for quite a while. And also QS has been running a scholarship trust since 2003. And this year, World Merit came to QS asking for some, support and mutual help. So we've decided to take it under wing, and that's how QS World Merit, the new charity with some, background from both World Merit and QS Scholarship Trust, appeared. Now, when it comes down to scholarship, QS on its own is covering a fund. I think now it's around $7 million or something like that. But it's mainly the scholarships that we bring together from the universities who participate in our events. We run over 300 student events around the world per year. where we kind of bring together universities and students to help them identify the right programs they offer. And there are some scholarships that we donate. It's about 50,000, I think, per year. And then there are also scholarships that our partner universities donate. Now, in the next, where are we, 25th September. So in the next 2 weeks, this part of our website will be revamped completely. But what I can say now that probably one of the scholarships that might be interesting for those who are already at the universities, or maybe those who have already received their degree, is the scholarship we're going to be running with Wharton Interactive. So Wharton is one of the top American universities, and Wharton Interactive is a part of their kind of Wharton universe, which is a gamification. Literally, it educates you about things like leadership, entrepreneurship, innovation, teamwork, etc., in a virtual game format. So in December, there will be a course which will be, well, not will, it is created purely for the QS World Merit applicants. So we will be giving away 10 free places at this course, and everybody is welcome to apply. Those who have applied but were not the lucky 10 will get 30% discount off this course. It's not like, you can't join this course before that, but if there is a chance to get some education for free, why not use it? And Rox, answering your original question about the opportunities that QS World Merit will be offering, as I said, it's a new merge, so we're still establishing ourselves, but I hope that by November, we will have a proper portfolio of opportunities with employers, with universities, to offer to our community. And the awards that we're offering come in 4 main categories. One is access to knowledge, and that's exactly where Wharton comes on board, or Coursera comes on board, so free education. Second is resources. So we encourage universities to collaborate with the QS World Merit charity, and in case one of the community members comes and says, I need access to, I don't know, your library or your 3D print or something like that, the university will give access to these resources to our community member. The third category is finance. Obviously, if you're a young entrepreneur or if you're a student who wants to set up a project, you might need some financial support. And this is the most difficult one for me, I must say, because raising money from employees is never easy. And the fourth one, so knowledge, resources, financial support, and experiences. And experiences is exactly what we've been discussing earlier today, which is internships, projects, and other activities with employers. So watch the space. Rox?
That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
okay,
I don't know how fantastic it is. I think mainly it's common sense, but thank you. You're very kind.
No, it's a struggle at the moment. I'm sure if Zach or Genevieve or Mars wanted to unmute themselves, they could tell you their personal stories of struggling to actually get into some work experience, the next step. So it's always quite exciting to learn about people like you and companies like you who have opportunities available for us students. It seems like it's almost like gold dust at the moment. Not too many around.
It is very tricky at the moment. You're absolutely right. And many companies have been hit really hard by the whole pandemic situation. Many companies are not that open when it comes down to flexi working hours or short-term projects. But as I said, quite often, you need to encourage HR to say yes. So in the chat, I've shared another link, and these are the jobs within QS that we have open at the moment. Most of them are full-time, but as I've mentioned, QS is a company that has been built by young people. When I joined QS, I think I was like within the first 50 employees or something. And throughout the years, we've been working very closely with ISEC. So if any of you are familiar with the student community, then you'll know what I'm talking about. And we had on average between, I'd say, 3 to 10 ISEC people joining QS on different projects. And on average, 2 of those will stick. So we'll offer them full-time employment after their internship or project has been finished. So at the moment, probably, well, the company is very big now. So, okay, I'd better not throw any numbers because we have so many offices, I don't even know all of them. But for the London office, I'd say it will be fair probably to assume that at least maybe between 15 and 20% of our full-time employees are the ones who came to us either as interns or as a temporary contributors to some projects. So again, review the opportunities and don't be shy to offer your services, even if the job requires full-time involvement. You can say, listen, I'm happy to contribute my time for whatever 50% of the compensation just for the sake of getting experience. And that's something that might work well with the HR team. Right, we've got, I think,
Thank you.
five
That's
minutes left.
amazing.
Yeah?
I've never had that advice from anybody. I wish I'd known you 2 years and 3 years ago. That's brilliant.
Well, you've done great so far. So
no, so thank you. That's really useful to know. I've written that one down. We've got a couple.
Can I make one more suggestion, if I may?
Of course, definitely, please.
The world is going digital, so I think we're all here and we all know it, right? One thing that is being underestimated or maybe not even communicated to young professionals is that from the moment you get to the university, you have to start building your online portfolio. So your personal brand. It is very important because that's how you will be assessed, whether you want it or not. You will be assessed by employers. You will be assessed by potential clients. You will be assessed by, I don't know, journalists. And if you want to be someone who is in demand, who people look up to, if you want to become an expert in a particular field, and I'm not talking about, 1 year scale, I'm talking 3 to 5 year horizons, you have to be proactive. And I'm not talking about, tweeting 27 times a day. I mean, if you have time for this and if you have things to say, smart things to say, be my guest. But I'm talking about things like, as I've mentioned, LinkedIn profile, contributing to the articles. Quite often you can find requests from the journalists looking for different quotes and comments for the students, and it can be Quora, it can be any other platform. Don't be shy to share your opinion, because unless you establish yourself as someone who is out there, proactive, smart, or intelligent, probably better than smart, and open, people won't know about you. If you write, doesn't matter whether it's in English or any other language, produce content and promote content, because building your own personal brand is important whatever you guys are doing going forward after the university. Online recognition, unfortunately or unfortunately, but it is becoming more and more important for young professionals, especially if you're into some creative jobs. That goes without saying then. But even for more kind of traditional jobs like finance or consulting or engineering, you still need to be out there and visible. LinkedIn has quite a few free courses. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with LinkedIn, but LinkedIn Learning is pretty cool. So you can find lots of interesting courses free. And when you take the course with LinkedIn, it is automatically added to your CV, to your profile on LinkedIn. So it tells future employers that you are proactive, that you develop, and that you, as I said, you don't sit and wait, but you go out there and create opportunities for yourself. Rox?
Yeah, no, that is perfect, and I'll just do a shameless plug. So that's what educating beyond borders is about. It's not about rocks. It's about a group of students who care about work experience, but also care about the student body, their fellow students, and it is a platform. It is your platform. Whether you're doing graphic design, we give students all different types of opportunities, whether it's policy research that you want to do. We've got legal work for those legal eagles, um, and it is quite valuable. We've perfected virtual internships long before COVID-19. A lot of the students who have been previously with us have gone on to get jobs. I've got an almost 90% success rate of people joining us, going on and getting jobs, which is great, but it's
That's a
hard
fantastic
to say.
rate.
Every
Yeah.
academic year we end up we need to recruit more people because people move on. I'm committed to giving people quality experience. I know it's difficult. Some people say we would love to do what you're doing at EP, but you don't pay us, so we can't afford to do it. But it costs us to train you guys, and I'm investing in your future and trying to help you get where you want to go. And work experience or the opportunities, just apply what you're learning. It helps. It matters. And good afternoon, Sir Manuel. Our 5 p.m. session is about to start. Sir Manuel has joined us to talk with Zoya and us. And anybody in the session here is welcome to stay on. We'll be recording the session as well, right, Zoya, for the other students wanting to look at it on the website. And Sir Manuel is going to tell us about his background, his fantastic business school, his scholarships, and his online courses that he has available for students. And as well, I think he can clarify, I think they actually do support people into employment, their students and their graduates. But Sir Manuel is the man of the hour. He's joined us. I hope maybe he can unmute himself and maybe his video might work, but I will leave him in your capable hands, Zoya.
Thank you very much, Rox. And hi, Olga. Nice to see some faces appearing. Okay, well, that was a pretty cool introduction. So I think the ball is on your side now. So Professor Manuel, how do you pronounce this? Is it Freire-Garabal?
Yeah, it's correct.
Oh, okay. I could never read the 2 extra characters. So we've been actually, I think, in touch with Al Khalifa Business School through my different QS colleagues. But I think it would be great if you could share, as Rox said, your personal background and experience, as well as the activities that your school is now undertaking. So the courses that are aimed at helping students to get proper jobs. So over to you, please.
Yeah, of course. Well, I founded this business school 1 year ago, and despite we are a very young institution, we could get some achievements. No? Also here, it's Professor Olga Ross in the conversation. She also knows very well some of the things we're doing now. So basically, what we want is not just offering courses for general population. It's to offer quality and opportunities for people. That's why our main interest is not just to offer knowledge, content, academic content. It's how to help people for the practical way in their lives. That's why, for example, our courses are close to the 70% cheaper than the courses that are offered by a normal business school. No? And that's why what we give is practical tips to the people. And after giving them these practical tips, it's, well, you helped us to grow, so now we want to help you to have a good career. No? That's why we have different kind of networks with family offices, with companies worldwide, that will give to these students the opportunity to have just maybe the first internship, but they will get it. No?
Manuel, may I interrupt you for a second? Can you give an idea of the school location and whether the delivery is online or offline? Because this session that we record now will be shared later on with the whole community of EBB. Thank you.
Well, we have just our registering office in the UK, but we have also different locations worldwide. No? Now we work online, but we are with people in 30 countries, and in these 30 countries in 60 locations. So this is just if any of our students wants to meet our agents, representatives, or professors, or just to meet somebody that can help them, maybe just with mentoring, they can go to them and ask the questions that they have.
Thank you very much. So it's online studies accessible from anywhere in the world.
Exactly.
Okay, back to your points about giving access to experience.
Well, nowadays we have a good network with many kind of family offices, companies, and also big companies that sometimes offer internships or collaborations with our students. No? So that's why when also someone finishes the school with us, we ask them, well, what do you need now? No? In which area do you want to be involved? But now what we are doing, it's, in my opinion, something little. That's why our main intention is to project something bigger. That's why in the following month, we're going to launch a new program that it's called the ABS Innovation Venture Lab, that is dedicated to promote the ideas of our students. We already started with that. No? So for example, in the professional certifications that we launched this year, what we do is to select the best jobs that the students did. So if, for example, in the press management certification, if we see that they have great abilities in press, we ask to them, would you give the consent to share with our people? So if our companies are interested to work with them, they will promote also this job that they are doing.
So it's more like not seeded funding, but supporting the startups and projects and helping them grow. I wish we have spoken a month ago, because KIAS has been running a big, it's not, well, it is a conference in a way, but it's also like an Oscar for higher education innovation. It's called Reimagine Education. And it takes place every December. For the previous 5 years, it's been running on Wharton campus in the US. Last year it took place in London, and this year is going virtual, as everything else in this world. And this is a platform to showcase projects that young people develop that have impact either on education or career or research curiosity. So unfortunately, the deadline for submission has passed. And okay, the prices, I can't say that the prices are humongous. It's just $50,000, but it can be a good start for some of the projects. But what's more important, it's visibility. So it's a community of investors, universities, startups, and young professionals. I'm going to share in our chat the link to the Reimagine different award categories. I'd be more than happy to reconnect with you later on and to see maybe for the next year, you can encourage some of the projects that you support and you identify as impactful in, say, employability or learning or sustainability. We'd be more than happy to welcome them as a part of the Reimagine Education competition.
Excellent. Also, if you would like I have here, I can
Sorry,
share with our people if you want.
you're breaking
If you
up.
want, I have here, for example, I have a short video of 1 minute that if you want,
Oh
it's
yeah,
more
that'd be great.
this that we can share with future students. No? So let me a moment.
Yes, please.
But well, we can still talking because it's downloading from the cloud. So
Okay. Okay. Or you can share the link in the chat, and then we will share
no,
it with.
it's not already in our website, but it's just the preview that we're going to launch on the next month. So
Okay.
I think it would be exciting to share now with.
Of course. So how do you, may I ask, how do you engage with young people? How do you bring them on board? How do you inform them about your university?
Well, basically, we're working mainly with our representatives. We have close to 200 representatives worldwide, and they are reaching different kind of communities through social networks to also personal talking with new students. So we have nowadays, but it's not enough, you know.
Well, that's why I'm curious, because I think this year has shown to many universities and higher education professionals that digital learning is the future. And whether you like it or not, but that's what's going to happen going forward. I mean, if you look at, say, India, in March, they have accepted, the Minister of Education has confirmed that state universities can have up to 30% of their curriculum being delivered online, and it's not necessarily their own courses, but they can engage with Coursera, edX, and others, and they will count this towards the credits for the regular diploma. So I'm just curious whether it's something that you guys consider engaging with the governments on a national level and offering your courses as a part of potential national or international curriculum.
For example, now we are working on that, no? Because some months ago, we developed it with the India Foundation, a webinar in which some recommendations were taken. That's why the governor of Telangana asked to us to make a redaction about recommendations for the new educational policy of India. So recommendations that we are trying to apply maybe will be used for the next year regarding to that.
Oh, great. India is a fantastic market from this perspective. And there are also lots of young people who otherwise might not be able to have any access to education if it's not online.
Well,
how are we doing?
Yeah, please, go ahead.
No, sorry. I just wanted to ask how we're doing with video.
No, it was downloaded, so if you want to, we'll share.
Yes, please.
I need.
You can share the screen.
I need to have able to have a screen share. The host has to give me the.
Okay. Okay, I'll put you a host. I'll make you a host, so you should be able to. Do you want to change? Yes, I do want.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Okay, there you go.
Well, I hope was good enough.
Sorry, did realize I was muted. No, I was saying that I think it was an interesting overview, and I think with a very powerful message that it's not just about education, but it's also the way beyond education. Okay, and Olga, you've been with us for the whole session. Are you a part of the team as well?
Yeah, she's one of our directors
Mm-hmm.
in the program, so she's doing such a great job, especially with many artists. And
Artists.
yeah, hopefully for the next year to make also some exhibitions with us, and also
Oh,
maybe
wow.
make promotion of different events she's doing now. She's also
That's
the head
exciting.
of our art journal, so she's making many publications about many artists, also young artists that from Russia, from Germany, different parts of Europe. So she's doing
That's a
something.
very unusual thing. I mean, creative arts is usually staying away from digital world, especially when it comes down to like performing arts. Well, maybe for artists in and painting and sculpture is different, but that's a fantastic initiative.
Well, I think that she will be delighted to talk about also.
I'm just trying to say, it looks like Olga doesn't have a mic. Uh, Olga, can you hear us? Can you talk?
Olga.
No, probably you'll have to do it on her behalf.
Well, next time I'm sure she will do an excellent contribution about.
Okay. May I ask, while we have, this session running, which will be later on shared by Roxanne Yoy and the team of Educating Beyond Borders, what will be your tips? What will be your recommendations for young professionals who are, who are still in their student years, but are struggling to secure internships and employments? What will be your recommendations for them?
Because I'm also young and I know what's to be in that situation, I will say, don't take in account all that you are having in your memory now, because in 1 year, 2 years, all of that will disappear. You will have, yes, a lot of theory, but theory is just to pass exams. If you want to make something in your life, try to make almost one internship, because if you are going to be an entrepreneur or if you are going to be hired by a company, they don't care about titles. If you go now to a company and you say, oh, I have this MBA, even from Ivy League, they say, okay, yeah, I have 100 people more here. So what do you do? No? Which are your abilities? So first of all, gain abilities. And we're not talking about being with the best professional in law or in economy. Is if you can make also to have a summer job with your father or a summer job in a cafe, many people would prefer you because of that and not because of your titles. I know very well, for example, one of the biggest companies in my country, in Spain, if you go to them saying, my average on the school was of 100%, they say, okay, yeah, you have good memory, please. Try to be a judge. No, so go to and have public oppositions to be a judge. But if you are a guy with a 70%, but you were having just many tips of own entrepreneurship or to work in maybe in a cafe or making sales or whatever, maybe you can become vice president with that.
Okay, so gain real life experience.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of, impressing HRs, because whether we want it or not, but we still have to follow their protocols. In your experience, what works really well with HRs these days? What would you recommend young professionals to bear in mind while working on their CVs?
First of all, if you are a guy from 20 years old or close to 20 or even close to 30, don't try to be mixed with guys of 30, 40, or even 50. Try to be with the oldies, because you will learn a lot with them. And when they see that someone that really appreciates what they are doing, this can help you a lot. So that's why also when you are mixing with guys of your age, you can have competition. With others, no, because they are more than you, so you are not a competition, but you can have benefit of being with them because you can learn a lot.
Interesting tip, quite an unusual one, I would say.
No, but really it's the truth because, for example, all of my friends, I only have 2 friends of my age who study with me. The others, I think that the youngest friend I have is or 50 maybe. I am every time with people that has the double age of me. So,
Well,
and I really prefer that.
I agree that it's a great way to learn from the best. It's not always easy to get to the level where you can engage with them and truly learn and follow what they are doing, because you might be in a more junior role, so hence you'll have limited access, let's put it this way. But it is an important tip, I agree. And one of the topics that was raised earlier today, it was related to migrants, working migrants in the UK. What would you suggest are the most, no, let me rephrase, what you wish you'd known when you were a student yourself?
Well, when I was a student, I think that I would change a lot of things. So if I could get this tip, I always work with people older than me from Malaya, no? But if I could learn more about not to mixing, especially with people of my age, would be much better now. Because you can have, well, also it's good, from different side to consider. No, it's good because you learn how is people at the beginning when they are really hungry and they want to take all. You see that there's not a scrupulous. So you see how is people really. So if in that time you could treat or you could take more into account the recommendations of your seniors, especially from parents, grandparents, and say, no, don't mix with this guy and don't argue with him, would be much better, no? Because you could prevent a lot of damage.
Interesting. Yeah. I bet many of our listeners will strongly disagree with this recommendation. But okay, point taken. So learn from the more experienced people. That's one. What else would you tell yourself when you were a student?
Exactly. But many people think, oh, it's quite difficult to reach to these people. And it's just because of attitude. Because if you are arrogant, because when you are young, the tendency is to be arrogant, to say, oh, I have these abilities, I'm very good. No, the typical behavior that you can learn in a business school, try to sell yourself. No, that's not good. When you're trying to sell yourself, is like, oh my God, this guy is desesperated, so he is being forced to sell that to me. No, you only have to be polite and to hear before talk. Because if you are talking, saying, oh, I make this, I have these qualifications, I want to do that, says, oh my God, another bullshit that is trying to come to me, no? But when, for example, you come to a guy in an event, an oldie, who is maybe alone, and just to say, oh, hi, nice to meet you, I really like your speech. This guy says, oh, well, maybe this guy is interesting, so I will talk more with him. Just to listen, all that you will learn is much more that you can get selling yourself.
Okay. Well, actually, this probably can be tied to one of the famous LinkedIn recommendations, that try not just to listen, but to hear. So that you don't just pretend you're sitting there and you're yawning and waiting for the session or whatever you're to finish, but genuinely be engaged.
And it's really funny because nowadays, for example, when you're coming to a different kind of events, I go to many all over the year, always you see that people with experience, they are really tired. What they really want, they are there because maybe they are the owners of the company, so they just have to be there because of image, And when you see how young guys are coming to them to sell their new idea about blockchain, about the same blockchain, AE, finance, things like that, says, oh, another guy like that. So what you have to do is just to help this person to be relaxed. That's the point. To hear and to not to be a friend or trying to be a friend, because this is also you can have a diplomatical problem, no? But just to hear, to be polite. With that you can learn a lot. From my experience, you know, I could get many of my friends because of that. You just have to be polite and to listen.
Okay, well, I guess I'm not totally convinced that the key to success, but I agree that it's an important ability to listen and to engage with people and to resonate with them on the same level as they are, and to find not just, you know, talk about what's interesting or relevant for you, but also make sure they have a space and a chance to talk about what's interesting and relevant for them. But if we are talking about young professionals, say last years of bachelor programs, what do you think are the best career tips for them, practical career tips in terms of building careers? So we've mentioned already gaining real life experience for internships, for apprenticeships, for free projects, and we've covered pretty much this at the previous session. So mingle with the senior, with the mature professionals and learn from them. What else?
The thing is to have, you know, to be good in your job, because if you are just trying to connect with somebody, so you are a networker, coach or something, and you have no content, sooner or later you will be discovered. So
I don't have a job yet. I'm a student, so I'm trying to find a job.
you know, you need to have to know how to do something always, despite be just writing or to trying to get abilities. No, first of all, you need to have something in your life, because lives without content, you can try to drop too many things, but one has to be fixed in your life. No, maybe when you're a student, you like so much to study law, but after, when you meet someone, you can be focused to study economy, no, and to be an expert in economy. No, so always to have something in your life, and also with your seniors, trying to have a connection. You know, it's funny, but I know one experience. Once I was with someone who was working with a politician, no? But he didn't like this politician. So I came to him and I say, well, you were working with this guy, no? He says, yes, yes, yes. And I know it, that they didn't have good relations. So I said to him, oh yeah, I think that you were much better than him. He was saying, oh yeah, he had this problem, this another problem, this another problem. Finally, to listen and to see him, you know, was just like a joke, no? But seeming that we have a connection, after all, he said to me, well, guy, why are you here? How may I help you? Just to having a connection. After this connection, you demonstrate the abilities you have, but always being humble. Not in the 100% of times is done, but maybe in the 80 or the 70 yes.
Okay.
Because you know what this guy wants, but also he knows that you have something in your life, that you are not going to show the same that everybody shows to him.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's see if Rox has any questions for us, because she was, unfortunately, see, with all this technical struggle, we are not able to stream it live. So she was collecting the questions previously. Oh, and she can't hear us. Okay. Okay, well, then we can maybe move to scholarships, because I know you've got some offered by your school. Is that right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit more about those?
Well, about the school, we're trying to make some new things nowadays. No? For example, the last month, we also launched a new program to support more people worldwide. Now we have almost 5,000 students, no? But our intention is with our latest program to have minimum 200,000 students per year, giving them general business education at very low price.
Mm-hmm.
So our intention is to these people to get them the possibility also to continue their studies even with us or with another schools in their own locations. For example, we are reaching now many governments that this education that we are going to offer will be accredited in the country. So with that, they can make, for example, the first year online and the second or third, or if they want to make a different career, this studies will work so they can continue their studies with the almost free education that we get to them. And the thing is also that this education, that it is at $1 per day, is not paying by people, it's paying by the states.
That's very good. But how do you, may I also ask, how do you engage with employers? Because one of your USPs of your business schools that you bring, you know, education and work experience together. So how do you engage with employers, especially now, you know, when after 6 months in a very weird year, employers are quite struggling. Sorry?
Always online. For example,
Mm-hmm.
many employees, we always met maybe by Zoom or something, but to some we never meet in person, no? But we are having good relation and good connection because of that, no? So always talking from the point A to the point Z.
No, but I mean, how do you, why would employers say, yeah, definitely, Al Khalifa students are guaranteed employment within our company?
So I couldn't understand the question.
Sorry, no, I'm trying to figure out
Mhm.
how you engage with employers
Oh,
so that they engage and they hire your students, because that was, from what I could see on the website of your business school, it was one of the main USPs, right, for people to get education.
you know, basically because of the big networks we have, we always can find job for almost everybody, no? So for example, from our students, I think that the 90% pass with between the 90 to the 100% in the average, no? Because we make the things not simple, we make it in the good average of hard or medium level, but what we do always is promote them. So that's why we, if they agree, we always send their resumes or their abilities to our associates. And always they can find something. You know, despite could be an internship or maybe also even an online job, because we have many people doing online job as assistants, also giving them contracts as freelancers to another companies. They always have the form to get a job, no? For example, we have many who are maybe their own freelancers in many countries like Pakistan, in India, but because we met many companies in the US or in Europe that need someone to be trained, for example, in coaching or in video edition or in something, they always get a job.
Okay. Well, I guess that's the strength of your diverse networks, right? And diverse contacts, that it's spreads all over the world through your personal ones and the representatives one. But just for me to understand, when the person engages with your university and signs up for the course, are they still able to work? Are they able to combine studying online and working, or is it, does it require full dedication?
You know, for example, now we are talking about mainly about the courses, no? We get the accreditation to have bachelor's, associates and degrees close to 3 weeks ago, no? But for example, with the courses, despite could be a 1 month course, can be taken, for example, for 1 year, because we never say you should have to make that in 1 week or 2 weeks, no.
So it's like Coursera's model where the user can manage his or her own time. Brilliant. So it means people
process, so
can combine work and studies. Okay. And well, Rox has messaged me a tip. If I could please ask you about your approach to designing the courses. And because apparently you've created courses for top American universities and other institutions around the world. How do you approach this? How do you create the courses for institutions and for universities?
Well, nowadays we are only working with people from other universities. I help it just as a professor or visiting to many others, no? But just because I was having collaboration with them. No? But for example, nowadays, our intention, and also we are doing that with many people from other universities, especially from the Ivy League, we have many professors who help us to develop the contents. So for example, we have great quality at a very affordable price.
So it's almost like, you know, corporate social responsibility projects. So people donate their time to develop courses for your institution, right?
They do it because of friendship. No, mainly because of friendship. No, so they want us to be bigger. Many times they don't say, "I am the professor of that." No, so but they give the knowledge because they want. No, so it's working very well for the moment, and we have a great team of professors, especially in Asia nowadays, that are helping us a lot in making very good quality content.
And how do you identify the direction? Like, for example, for the next 6 months, we want to focus our attention on XYZ courses. So, for example, Olga says, I want to have 20 more courses on performing arts or in architecture or on whatever. Or how do you survey the market to identify the needs?
You know, because I don't like in shots. I made this because I wanted to have a long-term project and maybe a lifetime project. No? So that's why we offer the things that we know that people will want always. For example, on the last year or last 2 years, you could see everybody wanted to have a course on blockchain, blockchain management, things like that. Now everybody is worried about blockchain. So, for example, we have many courses in blockchain. Yeah, people had a good result with them. But you see, it's not the same like the classical course that everybody would want. For instance, in the last certification we have about press management, everybody's joining because always people would need about to promote companies, to promote themselves, to promote projects. And it's something classical that since the press is existing, is working. No? You always need to know how to promote a business, how to write, no? Even, no? Because we have many students that what they are doing there, it's to making better the ability to write. So that's why classical courses are always working. No? With health science, always we will need health professionals. That's why, for example, now we are looking for have also many degrees in health because one of our associates, one university from Asia, is having also health degrees. No, I think it's important because nowadays, for example, are needed 8.6 million of health professionals in the world. So classical things always will work. If nowadays, for example, appears a new movement about finance banking through by the cloud with a new program, yes, maybe it can be useful for 1 or 2 years. With big data, you could see 3 years ago, big data was the main topic. When you come to the web, big data, only big data. When you go to another event, was blockchain, every time blockchain. Nowadays, people is forgetting about blockchain. And you see, for example, how many schools, the profit that they are having now is because of health technologies, for example.
Oh no, the UK is probably one of the worst cases. So yeah, definitely, it is a high demand.
It's, for example, like we said before, when you go to owner of the company and you say, I know it because of the conference I attend. Oh, I have this idea about blockchain, and that year, maybe they had 100 people talking about blockchain. They are very, very tired of hearing this word. So maybe you say to them, no, I'm dedicated to create masks. You know, maybe some months ago we were laughing about people who say, oh, I have a masks factory. They say, oh yeah, you only supply to hospitals, no? And now it's needed worldwide. A classical product that was used maybe from many decades.
Yeah. Okay. What about opportunities for students and young professionals within your own university? Are you collaborating with students in any way?
Always, many also, when we see that they have great abilities, they became to start as lecturers in our courses. So, or even if they want to learn how works an institution, we allow them to work with us, no?
Okay,
Also,
so we're getting to a very nice and practical area here. So what you suggest should be the steps for young kids who want to learn how to run, I don't know, a business school, an online project, a course? Should they just approach you for the website? Is there a particular section on the Al Khalifa Business School area where they should go?
they can contact us directly. So I always also used to read all that people write. I am maybe forwarded in silent in almost of the mails of the company. So I always know what
You
everybody.
clearly have lots of time.
No, but just making a fast view. Always,
Sure.
I always know all that happens. No, for instance, in the business school, I am the only owner. I am the chairman, and I have an advisory committee. I know what happens since the beginning. So, and I think it's very important to know all about that.
True, but it also it's important that you're able to scale when the time comes. I think that's
Also, but for example, I think he's one of the most wise people exists in my country is the owner of the company Inditex, of the shop Stara. No? So I've been many times there at the factory. I have many good friends there. And it's typical to see him walking, the owner of one of I think he's the fifth fortune in the world nowadays, walking around the factory. Maybe sometimes he's in the garden saying to the gardener, please cut this plant in this shape. So I think that this is very important. For example, this man has an office, but just for institutional welcomes. No? But where he works, it's in the main production part of the factory. He has a big table, and every people shows to them what they are doing. Oh, do you like this cloth? Yeah, I like it. If they don't like, if he doesn't like it, he makes what is needed to arrange it.
so staying grounded, yeah, staying down to earth and not getting too carried away with your title or your wealth.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is crucial. And also one of the things that quite often employers complain about when we run our annual employer survey at PS, it's how aspirations that young graduates have don't have pretty much anything solid to be based on. So to expect a company to give you a job just because you have a degree is, well, it doesn't work anymore in today's world. It's more about what your portfolio has, which skills you have, but not so much about what kind of degree you have or even which university you've graduated from. I don't know, what's your observation? Do you see the same trend that everyone is moving towards real skills and abilities rather than formal education and diplomas?
I think so, because also I hate a lot the philosophy of the CEOs, of executives, things like that. And the people that I know who are owners of the companies, but big companies, no, at high levels, they think the same. Finally, it's like in the army. You see that the general, it's always there. The general can talk with everybody, but maybe a colonel can't talk with a sergeant. And this happens in the companies, no? And founders and owners doesn't like the behaviors of colonels or even of sergeants. Maybe they prefer to treat with the soldier.
True. No, I agree. I agree. Okay, I don't know, Rox, can you hear us? Are there any questions that you've collected previously and we haven't answered? Rox? I don't think she can hear us. And okay, well, I think we've done pretty well for this session. Is there anything particular you want to share with young professionals who will be listening to this recording? So just a reminder, the idea of the whole day, today's session was to give young kids, international students who are in the UK, as many practical tips as possible when it comes down to their position on the job market, securing the first jobs, and what are the actions they need to undertake in order to, to be more competitive on a global job market. So anything to add on this one?
In my opinion, what I said before, they always need to have something particular that identifies themselves as not the typical project that you will always hear. No, to be unique. So if you want to have something in the market, you should be unique. Maybe, you can have the same knowledge about law, about economy, about health, but if you're just a best person than your competitor, you will be chosen. And it's just to be human beings, unique human beings.
And to be humble, yes.
That's the thing.
No, but it is important. I think it's also important, and probably worth mentioning, that I think it's the right balance about being humble, but also not being overly shy, and be able to present your skills and achievements. Because one thing I've noticed, and sorry?
Exactly.
Can you hear me, guys? Okay. So it's just freezing a little bit. No, I was just saying that in some cultures, it's not that common to praise yourself. I don't know whether Olga would agree or no. So judging by the name, I would imagine Olga is also like me, coming from Eastern Europe. And in our culture, you literally, it's bad to praise yourself. It's bad to say, oh, I'm such and such, I've done this and that, I've gained those prizes, etc. However, if we look at the Western Hemisphere, North America, if you don't do that, you're a loser, right? You stand no chance in the global competition. So I think for the UK, it's important to find this right balance, to stay true to yourself, but also show off your skills and strengths, because otherwise you won't be able to compete. Okay, Roxy's messaging me that are you letting international students start in 2021 instead of October 2020 in terms of work experience? I'm not sure I understand the question.
No, I think that she is talking about that. I work with many other universities in Europe, no? So many of them are offering now, because of COVID, to study in Europe, no? Because it's quite difficult to apply for visas nowadays, because many delays, and the courses are starting now, because they, for example, in Portugal, the courses are starting on October 21st. Because of that, what I am offering to many people, it's that they can study, for example, apply for visa with the study of a course in a European university, so they can use this visa they have for this course to continue their study, because they have almost these visas for 1 or 2 years, to continue the study after, in the next year of October, in a degree. So,
okay, so it's extending for a year.
Exactly. In many countries, for example, if you come from India, from Pakistan, even from China, you need to know to have the degree, the language of the country. So, for example, in Spain, to pass an Spanish exam, in Portugal to pass a Portuguese exam, in Italy the same. So that's why I recommend, if they want to enter, to apply for the courses for the language. So they can do that because it's easy to get it in 6 months. They also can have 20 hours of job. They can apply for that in the visa, after, when they're in the country, to work 20 hours per week. And then maybe they can pay their studies and they can have also profit with the things that they're doing, studying and working in a European country.
Okay, got you. Now I understand your question. Thank you very much for expanding on this one. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. So I don't see any new questions coming in. And I think we've covered pretty much everything that I wanted to discuss with you, because it's definitely an interesting model. And I'm still struggling to understand the business model in terms of like the business school as a business. But definitely from the point of view of the user, you're doing a great job. And hopefully more and more students will be able to benefit from it. So good luck with that. And I believe if there are any questions that our current audience or the future audience will have about Al Khalifa Business School, they will be able to approach you via the website, where I could see your profile, your picture, your bio, and your contacts. So it's all there.
Excellent.
Okay. Well, any questions from the group? I know it's a very small group, but any questions from the participants? I think people might be overwhelmed because it's the second hour of our session. Okay, thank you very much once again for joining. And as we can't hear Rox, I'm also passing thank you on her behalf. And once again, that was Sir Manuel Freire-Garabal from the Al Khalifa Business School, online studies around the world, where employability is one of the perks that you get after graduation, along with a certificate or diploma, depending on the course that you're studying. And I'm looking forward to keeping in touch and learning more about how you convert the performing arts and other arts and design and all these creative arts courses to the online platform. I think that will be quite fascinating experience.
Excellent.
Okay. And I think on this note, thank you once again for all the participants, and let's stay in touch and support Educating Beyond Borders. Okay. Okay. Rox, we miss you. Okay, well, I'll say goodbye on behalf of Roxanne. Thank you very much. And we'll see you, I guess, on LinkedIn group, shall we?
Excellent.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So you are an admin now, so you'll have to finish the meeting, okay?
Stop recording, no?
Yes, stop recording and then share the recording